Okay, Sansara, welcome to Revolution Books and to our show, the RNL Revolution Nothing Less show. And as I said earlier, Sansara is one of the initiators and leaders of the movement RiseUpForAbortionRights.org. Sansara, yesterday was so much fun. I think it was, as I said at the beginning of the show, a very, very important beginning to this movement in a very urgent situation. So maybe you could encapsulate some of this for the RNL Revolution Nothing Less audience.
For everybody who's been watching this show, we've covered it extensively, but a lot of people in society still don't know. And so I just want to start by saying abortion rights in this country are in a state of emergency. And women's lives are in a state of emergency. The Supreme Court is set to rule on a case in a matter of a few short months that could completely gut abortion rights and abortion protections across this country and create a situation where many, many, many women are forced to have children against their will and enslaved in that way. And so there's a huge fight on our hands to bring people out in the streets, to wake people up, to rally, to resist in a determined and massive way, in an ongoing, relentless way, to stop this from going down. And we made a really important advance in this a couple days ago on International Women's Day, where people did come out in the streets. It was hundreds. It was not yet thousands or tens of thousands, but these were people who were angry. These were people who were determined. They were young people whose whole future is sitting before them, and they're horrified and furious about this enslavement of women that's coming. They were people with depth of experience, people who remember before abortion was legal, the stakes of what women had to go through, who were denied abortion access, and important voices from the arts, religious leaders, a really impressive beginning breadth with a lot of depth and determination. And it was rowdy, and it was in the streets, and it felt good, and it's something to build on.
Okay, so we had a great beginning, and a great beginning means there has to be even greater stuff to come. So what is the plan to get us moving to the point where we can have the kind of sustained, determined struggle that is going to be necessary to win this fight?
Yeah, so in a minute, we're going to show footage from the New York City rally and some of the footage from at least a snippet, a taste of what happened around the country and in the streets. But one of the things that we announced at all of these events, and we want to really drive home to everybody watching, is the weekend of March 19th and 20th. RiseUpForAbortionRights.org is organizing mass organizing meetings where everybody who came out in the streets, everybody who was inspired by what you saw in the streets, and everybody we can reach in the next week and a half, we bring them together in truly mass meetings. People who are new to this movement, people who have more experience, come together and get organized, talk with each other, work with each other, and figure out how we're going to get out and blanket all of society and really wake people up and come back 1 month after March 8th, International Women's Day. We're coming back into the streets on Saturday, April 9th, and we want to be thousands strong this time. And we're taking up, as you'll see in the video, we're taking up the green bandana, which is the symbol that was taken up in Argentina, in Colombia, in other parts of the world, now in El Salvador, where people are standing up and fighting against the criminalization of abortion, and they've actually had victories in several countries, and they're still fighting other places. And this is a symbol of people who went in the streets in massive numbers and changed what was possible through their struggles. So April 9th, we're coming back in the streets, and April 8th is, and all the way leading up actually, but April 8th is a day of wearing green. It's a Friday. And we want people to wear it at their schools, in their workplaces, hospitals. People should wear it, do banner drops, all kinds of creative things with the green on that day, and then back in the streets. So there's a lot of work to do. And by doing that, coming back in the streets on April 9th, that's to wake even more people up, to gather even more momentum, and to get the rhythm of coming back in the streets in sustained and growing mass struggle. So that's the next steps.
All right, so let's show a video that we've put together of just some of the footage. We've been inundated with footage from the various demonstrations, but we want to show you some of the key speeches, including a good part of what you said as a leader of this movement, and give you a taste of what happened. And then we'll be working on with this footage more, and there'll be things up on the website, RiseUpForAbortionRights.org. But let's go to this right now.
Welcome! Happy International Women's Day! We're here today with our sisters and brothers in Los Angeles, in Atlanta, in Boston, Chicago, Cleveland, D.C., Detroit, Honolulu, San Francisco, and Seattle to say we refuse to let the U.S. that International Women's Day was born in struggle. In 1908, had thousands of women marching down the garment district, garment workers, asking, demanding for better working conditions, for higher pay, and the right to vote, So I do not see this as purely a day to celebrate. What I see this as a day for commitment and recommitment to what I consider the transcendent cause of the women's movement. Because the right to decide when and whether or not to be a mother is the front line and the bottom line of women's freedom and liberation.
Because the desire to control wombs and birth giving is the very definition of patriarchy, power over women's bodies has always come first. The morning after Hitler was elected, for instance, his very first act was to padlock the family planning clinics and declare abortion to be a crime against the state.
I also wanted to quickly say it's no coincidence I'm reading this
statement from her because my path as a feminist writer and now running a global women's news organization is because of Gloria and her writing and the magazine that she started, Ms. Magazine, and of course has saved so many lives through her words. But although for the last few decades I have been writing about feminism, it's only been very recently, probably no more than a month or two ago, that I said, if I'm really going to follow women like her, I need to be out there in the streets, not just writing behind a computer and putting it out there. There is nothing like being out in the streets, stepping up and standing up.
We're no longer going to wait for permission to challenge oppressive religious beliefs and misogyny and horrific notions of controlling the very fabric of women's destinies.
All right, so I want to give a quick shout out. Right here, we got a contingent from Harlem for abortion on demand and without apology.
So I remember George Tiller as my older next door neighbor growing up in Wichita, Kansas. And I remember the rage I felt when I heard that he was assassinated on May the 31st, 2009. In 2016, inspired by George's life, I joined the board of directors of Trust Women.
If he were alive today, I believe that in body and spirit, he would join us in these streets, to resist and defeat the current assault on women, demonstrate in word and deed that every woman and every girl should have a future as full, equal human beings, and that indeed forced motherhood is female slavery.
I'm 15 years old and I'm angry. We are done being polite. We are done feeling hopeless and fearing that our right to abortion could be taken away at any moment. So let's all keep up this fucking fight, because it's going to be a long one, but it's important. Abortion on demand and without apology.
If one woman hurts, if one woman cries, if one man bleeds, rise. Up, get up, dance up, get up, sing up, get up, change everything. Up, get up, dance up, get up, sing up, get up, change everything.
Fui violada. Sufrí por años. Fui burlada por la gente, por mis vecinos, por mi familia. Pero lo más malos fueron los que hicieron las leyes que prohíben el aborto. Y por eso hoy he parado de llorar. Este es un día que debemos de empezar a salir a las calles a gritar fuerte. Tengo el derecho a decidir. Tengo el derecho al aborto. Porque es mi vida. Porque es mi cuerpo. Porque nosotras tenemos el derecho a decidir. It's my choice. Y no
possible to stop this fascist assault on women. It is possible. But it is not possible by constricting ourselves to choosing between candidates where one half of them are fascist lunatics who sometimes refer to women as host bodies, and the other half are led by a president, Biden, who will not even say the word abortion. We cannot win by accepting defeat in advance. And we have to be honest, this is what way too much of the so-called leaders of the so-called women's movement have done already. They have accepted that Roe v. Wade will fall and abortion rights will be gone. No, this has to stop. Women are not incubators. They are not. Women are not property of the state. Women are full human beings. And we have to go out today and going forward, all of us here, and wake up and organize and mobilize the one force that is powerful enough to stop this fascist assault. And that is the masses of people rising up in their millions, relentlessly again and again, filling the streets with our fury, shutting down the campuses and walking out, shutting down the freeways, taking over everywhere again and again, and making clear to the fascists on the court and everywhere else that if they try to take this right away, if they try to slam women backwards, their society will be prevented from functioning at all. And if we wanted an example of what can be accomplished by people who refuse to accept the unacceptable and who dare to go out and challenge others, look at the women of Colombia. Look at the women of Argentina. Look at the women in Mexico. This is why we wear this green bandana. If you do not know, those are deeply Catholic countries, very repressive states, very patriarchal. Places where abortion has been criminalized for years, women sent to prison for miscarriages. But the women down there went in the streets, not once, but again and again, relentlessly. Sometimes 1 million strong, and they waved this green bandana, and they kept coming back, and they tore down those laws, and they decriminalized abortion. Through their struggle, they made what everybody thought was impossible, possible. And we, as we go out, we will find others who are like us. And as we do, we're going to open up the big questions about what kind of society do we live in that has put these fascist lunatics in power? Where does this desire to control women come from? And what will it take to end it once and for all? And for my part, as a follower of the revolutionary leader Baba Bakian, who is also the architect of the new communism, I'm going to be fighting for what I understand to be true, which is that all this patriarchy, all this oppression, all these centuries of patriarchal chains are rooted in this system, along with all the other forms of oppression, of capitalism, imperialism. And it cannot be ended without bringing that system down, without overthrowing it once and for all in an actual revolution. But until we do that, all this oppression will regenerate, just like the villain in one of those misogynist slasher movies that you think is dead at the end, and he comes back, and he comes back. We have to bring this system down. But I also want to say a great strength of this movement is our diversity of views. We don't all agree. We come from different perspectives, but we stand shoulder to shoulder and insisting that women control their own bodies and lives. And after today, we're going to organize to bring more people out. April 8th, we're going to spread this green bandana into the workplaces, hospitals, schools, everywhere. It'll be a day of green. And April 9th, we are coming back to this park thousands strong. And across this country, thousands strong. And from there, we are doubling down and doing it again and again until we flood the streets and bring this society to a halt. Because they must not be allowed to shatter the lives of women
and slam history backwards.
I want to give a big shout out to our hermanas or compañeras from Dominican Women Development Center who showed up.
I'm here standing for Gladys, who was pregnant with 4 other children, working in a blue-collar family, black family, with not enough money to feed those 4 mouths, and brought with her church shame and spouse shame, but still needed to have an abortion, but had to go to that back alley place to have one. I'm here standing for Gladys. How about you? Are you standing for Gladys? If you can make a baby, you get to choose not to have it. If you can make a baby, you get to choose not to have a baby.
I am sick of fascism and hate. I am sick of indiscriminate bombs falling. I am sick of guns. I am sick from the destruction of our precious earth, from pillaging and raping and spilling and ravaging and extracting of our forest and seas and land. I am sick of patriarchy. No one, no man, no church, no state has the right to tell me, to tell you what we can and cannot do with our body. They cannot legislate what goes on in it. They cannot enter it without consent or meddle with it or determine what it needs. This is my womb. This is my vagina. This is my choice. Everyone does not want or need to be a mother.
That dictum was created by patriarchs to keep women in their place, to mechanize childbirth, to use it as a form of oppression and suppression rather than a choice of love. The way we win is in the power of our love, in our unity, in our solidarity, in our sisterhood, our brotherhood, our bravery, our determination, and in our numbers. So say it with me. Abortion on demand. Without apology. Abortion on demand. Without apology. May it be so. Abortion on demand. Without apology. 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 I can't hear you. Abortion on demand. Without apology. Mean it. Abortion on demand. Without apology. 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 Thank you, everybody. We're going to march now.